Hello and welcome to another episode of My Favourite Game from the Honest Football Podcast.
On the show this week, we've got a very, very close friend of mine, Ewan, who's going to talk to us all about Falkirk FC. So, Ewan is local to Falkirk and has supported them all his life, and you can just really pick that up in the way he talks about his club through some good times and some bad times. They had a bit of a heyday during the 90s, which we cover in a bit more depth. But I just love the fact that his favourite game really, really resonates with any other football fan. Just the passions that go with it, the whole day, the experience before, during and after the game. So I really hope you enjoy the episode. You can also catch Ewan. He's an actor, so he'll be in Edinburgh over Christmas, but you find out a bit more about that as well. So yeah, just enjoy the episode.
And don't forget, if you'd like to be part of this favourite game series, just give us a message at Honest Football 3.
And it is my pleasure and my privilege to introduce a very good friend of mine, Ewan Macdonald. So he's a massive Falkirk fan. And if you haven't heard of Falkirk, then have a quick look on Google and we'll go from there. But Ewan, thank you for coming onto the show. Really appreciate you doing that. And you're going to come and talk to us about your favourite game. But I've already alluded to your sort of unique football sort of club that you support. So you're obviously a big Falkirk fan. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how you come to support them and all of that? So,
well, thanks for having me on, Charlie. Big fan of your podcast. Love the chat and the banter with the lads. So any chance to talk about a bit of football and any chance to talk about Falkirk, it's been a bit of a sort of, it's always a bit of a struggle supporting your sort of home team. It is my home team. I'm born in Falkirk. My dad was really keen on us not supporting Rangers or Celtic, even though he was quite a bit of a Rangers fan, because he just didn't want us embroiled in that sort of the kind of tribal thing between Rangers and Celtic. And it doesn't matter where you go in Scotland, there is a lot of Rangers and Celtic fans that are not from Glasgow. So he was kind of really wanted us to get involved in our kind of local team, which would have been as well as going to Falkirk, Brockville. It would have been East Stirling. That was managed by Alex Ferguson for a short time.
Of course, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. He used to take us to games, and it was one of those kind of Brockville Stadium was sort of in the centre of town, and it literally was that. It sounds like a bit of a cliche now, but he did like literally put us over the turnstiles and all that.
Oh, really? I think, I suppose clubs like that, it's they sort of serve a whole community, don't they, in that sense, And I think that's, people don't necessarily realise if you support a Rangers or a Celtic, like you say, obviously there are people, I suppose, around that area, but because they're supported from different parts of the country and even, I suppose, different parts of the United Kingdom, but a team like Falkirk or that sort of ilk, it serves a whole community, and it's in some cases an excuse for the whole sort of area to get together, I suppose, isn't it, in that sense?
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely, and it's great. I mean, thankfully, my dad kind of sort of really encouraged that, because we were sort of mad for football, and he went, "Why don't you just go down and, it is all about kind of supporting your local team." Nothing against people that are sort of Rangers and stuff, but it did feel like, you would bump into the players in town and stuff, and you would, later on when it became like old enough to drink in pubs, the players would come into the pubs and you'd chat to them, and it was just like great, So it was a kind of exciting time, and sadly, a lot of the terrace grounds, it was mostly terrace. It was like 3/4 terrace, and you had a choir and all that. Sadly, we sold Brockville onto Morrison's, and
oh no,
I know.
Oh man,
I know. It was. Yeah, we sold it to Morrison. So it's a Morrison's in a car park now, and we went to this Falkirk Community Stadium, which is a bit of a soulless, big, vacuous place that doesn't really get much of an attendance now. I guess with the advent of Sky TV and, people are kind of like, I don't know what it is. It's hard for grounds to be like smaller teams, smaller ground, but grounds to be filled these days, last year, and there was like, I don't know, maybe like 1,500 people there, and it's like an 8,000 seater or something. And it's just it's a shame for the players as well coming out to that. But so I don't go as much as I do, but there was a sort of a period of time when I was just a mad fan. It was kind of like the glory days for me would have been the mid-90s.
Yes, yeah. I remember being in the Scottish Premier League then, weren't they, at the time? So there was some,
totally. Yeah, we had a good run up there, for a time.
And if I'm honest, I don't know your opinion of it, but that was and it's no disrespect to now, but when the Scottish Premier League had some big, global superstars at the time, Gascoigne, Laudrup, people like that were playing, and Falkirk were amongst that, weren't they? So I think, not to disrespect anyone sort of nowadays in the, in that sense, but being in the Scottish Premier League back in the 90s was no mean feat. It was a tough competitive league with some cracking players there, weren't there? So.
Oh yeah, I mean, to see the likes of Laudrup and Di Canio, people like that, and to see them kind of up close, you just kind of like, wow, this is. And like you said, Gascoigne, I saw him, saw him when he came to Brockville and played, and you just like, this is. At the time, you just kind of take it for granted, but now looking back, you think, God, then just the quality of players and those say it was like a Monday night game at Brockville, raining at like 8:00, and then you're seeing Gaza walk out, and stuff. It's just like,
you can't replicate that.
Probably give them, and you probably give them pelters and stuff, but actually deep down you had massive respect for these guys,
Yeah, it's something, and I think, like you said, when you move grounds, then those sort of memories stay there, then, don't they? I suppose you can't really take that with you to, like suddenly when it becomes the Falkirk Community Stadium or something like that. It's hard to transfer that across, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was kind of right in town. It was right near the pubs, and it just had a great atmosphere. And we had a sort of choir section, and I can understand, And now you've got kind of, if you start singing too boisterously, then the stewards kind of shut you up, and it's kind of
sanitized a bit, isn't it?
So yeah, definitely sanitized a bit, and I can understand, it's a kind of family, but we had a section to ourselves when we could like sing songs, and it was a bit more boisterous and a bit more like, the choir section. You've got it at all stadiums, haven't you? You've got, the sort of Green Brigade, or you've got, whatever stadium you go to, you've got like a section of the fans that are kind of the singing section, and we had that at Falkirk, but it kind of lost. I don't think it even exists anymore, which is a bit of a shame, because it was a real kind of it was just great fun. I think that's what I remember.
Yeah, of course. No, I think that's I think that's what we were sort of, this series that we're doing. We're trying to get onto that as well as the actual game. It's the atmosphere and the emotions that you attach to it, I think. And I don't know about you, because obviously I know I was going to move on to, you in terms of supporting another club in Everton. The sort of, even that is itself, Everton compared to maybe some of the elite teams in the Premier League, still have that quite close ground, that atmosphere. I think once, going from like maybe a team, like Falkirk, even in the heyday, that there is something special about a smaller club achieving a lot, I think, and you can't really replicate that if you're Man City, no disrespect or anything like that. It is definitely a lot more touristy and stuff, and I think that it's good to hold on to those sorts of things if you support clubs like Falkirk or Everton, that sort of thing, really.
Yeah, and I guess once you've sort of said it's like, once you've said you support Falkirk, is that like, there's no way I'm changing kind of allegiance as well. I don't think my brother or my dad would speak to me again. No. It's like, yeah, I think it's I don't know. It has that. I think it's about sticking. I don't always felt it was about sort of sticking by your team through.
Yeah,
thing, and
you don't sort of support them for the glory, but I think what makes it more special is those moments when they do come along, whether it be winning the cup or getting promoted or whatever, they mean so much more, I suppose, because they're so, and no disrespect, but they're so infrequent that it just means so much more, and the magnitude of it is and it's hard to get people to understand that if they don't follow a club who are in that sort of situation,
Yeah, I think because every club, Falkirk's been sort of up there, and it's never, we come in like, I think at best we came in like third, fourth, qualify for a Europa League, have a few trips away, but the one that kind of really stands out to me is the Scottish Cup run. I guess it's like the FA Cup. The Scottish Cup's got a real kind of a special place in a lot of fans' hearts, and I think our little prior chat was saying, a season or a game that I would have to say was the 1997 Scottish Cup run, which was just a sort of glorious time. Working all the way up through the rounds, because the great thing about Scottish Cup, you can play, you just play what you would call them all the bogey teams below you, which would just be like yeah, we'll get rid of all the dud teams, but actually a lot of those teams, you know, like the lower division teams, because it would be like all the league, and then Scottish Cup would go into like junior league as well. You know, there was just anybody could just get involved, and there was just like endless amounts of games, and you would have to do replays and stuff. So we just had a great run, and we played all the teams were our kind of rivals. We played like Raith Rovers, that would be in Fife, and we played Dunfermline, we played Celtic, and then we played Kilmarnock. So we had this incredible kind of run that we just thought, and to add to that, 40 years before we'd won this, the last time we won the Scottish Cup was 40 years before. Right. So it was kind of written in 1957. Is that right? 57, 97. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'd had this sort of thing. Well, it's meant to happen. It's supposed to happen. It's written in the stars. You know?
And when that all comes together, it's such a special moment, isn't it? In that sense.
Yeah. I mean, so we had Raith Rovers in the quarterfinal. We beat them 2-0. I can't remember. Yeah, and in the semis we played Celtic. At Celtic Park was actually getting done up at that time, so we actually played at Ibrox.
Oh wow!
And it was like 45,000. I know it was weird to all the Celtic fans. We took like, I don't know, 10,000 fans or something. It was brilliant, and it was 45,000, so it was like 10,000 fans, and and Celtic had like 35,000 fans or something. And we the first game was about April time, and it was 1-1. And then we played them again, sort of the end of April, and it was 1-0 for Falkirk. Paul McGrillen scored. And then we played, and that was us into the final. And we played Kilmarnock, and we ended up getting beat 1-0. I mean, it was a shit game, as you know. Watching FA Cup finals are always just really tense.
Yeah,
really,
you can never really enjoy them, can you?
You know? Yeah, and just finals, everyone's a bit jangly, and we're like going, oh, this will be brilliant. And it was it was just one of those games, and Kilmarnock scored quite early on, and we just couldn't get into the game. We're going, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. And it was just such a flat, for having such an amazing cup run, that, I remember Hazel Irvine came to speak to us in the pub, at Newmarket, where we all drank. And,
right.
It was like, Hazel Irvine's in, and she interviewed us all, and we're going, it's written in the stars, Hazel. And it's like, what do you think? 2-1 for Falkirk, definitely. Yeah. And you're like, a week later, just like, and all that build up, and it just was like, oh.
I suppose though, the like you say, the build up though, that in itself is something you'll never forget, because like we were saying earlier, the supporting a club like Falkirk, where it doesn't happen that often, is incredible.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, and because it happened sort of exactly 40 years later, we thought, come on, we're kind of due it now, and Falkirk's around about there's maybe about 160,000 in Falkirk district, so it's a pretty decent size, and it was like the whole of Falkirk kind of came out, and people started, really, it was a lovely kind of atmosphere. And it was a togetherness, and we thought, through football, it's amazing that football can do that, it can bring people together like that. And then it kind of, obviously we didn't win, so it was a bit of a shame, but I'll never forget that. It was a proper special time,
Yeah, just before we hear about your favourite ever football match, obviously Falkirk this season are doing quite well. They're in third, aren't they? I think they're a point off the top. So,
right,
in League One. But you were saying that you've done a bit of research in a sense of like, for people who maybe aren't as familiar with Falkirk, and that's not in a disrespectful way, but only know them for maybe that cup run, or when they were in the Scottish Premiership.
Yeah, well, to go right back, Alex Ferguson played for Falkirk from 1969 to 1973. Quite a bit. He scored 37 goals for us, so he, I mean, you have to hang on to that,
Yeah, of course,
And then we had a fantastic goalkeeper called Tony Parks. I don't know if you heard him. He won when I think Spurs win it, was it the 83-84 when they won the Europa Cup? I
think so. I can't remember. I'll have to check that. But yeah, it sounds about right.
Well, he was with us from 92 to 96, and he was a proper character, Tony Parks. I think he went on to goalkeeping coach for Aston Villa and a few places. But he was like, so we had guys from that. He was like proper exotic because he was from down south, you know. And he always had great banter with the crowd, and we all loved him, absolutely loved him. And then we had a guy called John White, who's called Harry Redknapp talks about him quite a lot.
Right.
He played for Spurs in the 60s. But before that, he played for Falkirk 1958 to 59, and he died. He got struck by lightning on a golf course in London when he was 27. Yeah, but the Tottenham supporters used to call him the Ghost.
Right.
John White, the Ghost. Honestly, check him out. There's some great books about him and everything. Apparently, he was a bit like Glenn Hoddle. They keep comparing him to Glenn Hoddle, like a bit like him. They're just a real kind of just proper, inventive and quick and skillful. Yeah, so we had him for only a year there, and Davy Weir.
Right. Yeah.
With us he's from Falkirk, so he he was quite late. When he was playing for Falkirk, he was probably like late 20s or something like that. I can't, like, he had such a career after that, obviously. Everton and Rangers, you know.
He played on for years, didn't he? Was he nearly 40 or something? He might have even been, been 40 when he retired.
Yeah, he was up there with like Ryan Giggs and all them. It was like, how did he, just kept himself. But we used to see him quite a lot. He used to come at the pub and weird, and we're pretty gutted when we lost him. Kevin McAllister, who we called Crunchy, he was like, God, he played with us for nearly like 20 years, kind of on and off. He went to Chelsea for a bit. But our proper kind of hero, and this is ridiculous, Chris Waddle played 4 games for Falkirk.
Did he?
Chris Waddle.
I vaguely remember something about this, but I can't remember. Okay, right.
Well, towards the end of his career, he just went, I think I'll go up here. I think I'll go to Bradford. I think I'll go to Scotland. And he, like, bizarrely, he just ended up like with us for 4 games, and he was like a god for 4 games. And
really?
Amazing. We thought, please. I think he scored in every game or something, But we got like photos with him, and he was such a great character. He used to come up to the pub and have a few pints, and he was a proper Geordie lad,
So what happened then? Just after the 4 games, he'd had enough, or?
He just was like, he probably, I don't know, he went and got more money somewhere else or something.
Right.
But, like, I have no idea why he ever went there. I was
going to say, you'd love to know how that even came about, how that transpired, wouldn't you? Of him, his agent, or someone approached him, or, like just selling some shirts. I don't know. It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, they couldn't have been paying him a lot of money. Falkirk didn't have a lot of money, I mean,
no.
But bizarre kind of, I don't know. But he was my kind of, I got a little picture with him and stuff, and it was all that kind of thing. And so that's my kind of geeky list of impressive players that have come through Falkirk's ranks,
I've learned loads. I hope everyone else has, because that's incredible. But I think it's fascinating to sort of remember those kind of things, like that. And I think it just shows you, how passionate, I shouldn't say this, but, proper football fans are, that even having someone of Chris Waddle's magnitude for 4 games, and just the impact that has on you for what, 20 odd years later, even probably more than that, 25 years later. I don't know exactly when it was he signed, but do you know what I mean? That sort of thing, it just shows you the power of football to, but I think particularly sort of smaller clubs, just the power it has on people in that area, and that's just an example of it, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it was just, it really kind of, like I said, just lifted everyone.
Yeah, it can galvanise a whole community, can't it, in that sense?
Yeah, no, it was great. It was just, we just felt quite honoured to have them there. But in a really, like, it doesn't matter where they're from, what ethnicity, football's you just go, they're playing for us, they're one of us, that's it, It's amazing. It kind of really transcends,
Yeah.
And I'll always it's great just having those memories. And I'll always be a fan, but, and I don't go to games as much as I should, but I did have a proper moment where I was like, Falkirk did as well as they could have for the team they had, and we followed them, and that was it, kind of thing.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us then, we'll move on to that then, your favourite ever football match? I mean, obviously, I don't know, so this is as much of a surprise to me. It might be a Falkirk game, it might not be, but, just talk us through it, and also, like, maybe before or afterwards, etc. So...
Well, actually, I'm going to... I was trying to think of other games, but it has to be one of those games that it's the semi-final, 12th of April. No, the replay. Sorry, 23rd April, 97.
Right.
Celtic Falkirk. The replay. Slightly less fans than the first one. 35,000. Tommy Burns. That was his last game in charge for Celtic. Right. And Fergus McCann was he'd taken over the club. You know, the kind of, I don't know if you remember him, Fergus McCann, but he basically so he took over. He was a sort of American, Scottish Canadian guy. He came and rebuilt Celtic Park. Basically, that's why we were playing at Ibrox.
Right. Okay.
So we never had basically, we never really had a chance. They never gave us much of a chance. I mean, you had like on Celtic's team, we 1-1 was good for us in the previous game, but they had like Jackie McNamara and Di Canio was playing, Cadetti, Tom Boyd, Billy McKinley, people like that, really good, solid players. We had the good team. We had like McAllister and Crabbe and McGrillen and McGowan, and we had but it was going to come down to proper, just like passion. Yeah,
I was just looking here. Sorry, while you were talking, at the squad that Celtic had, like Pierre Van Hooijdonk, players like that. It was for that season. I mean, incredible team that, and for Falkirk to get a result against that, it's just like, that's unbelievable, isn't it? Some of the players, like you say, Di Canio, Alan Stubbs.
Alan Stubbs, of course.
That's incredible.
It was, and it was I'm trying to think. It was a nighttime game. I'm sure it was a nighttime game. I can't remember, but it was. But we'd sort of had this sort of. We always did that thing. We met up beforehand at the pub, got on the bus, sang songs. Drove through to Glasgow, and I always remember the thing about driving through to Glasgow and parking outside Glasgow. You always had got these wee guys that were there, and they would always go, 10 pence to look after your car, mate. And that's what happened. But literally, you went, piss off, you little twat, But you'd be like, shit. You come back and you'd have like your windows bricked in.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is it an actual question, or is it if you don't give us the 10 pence?
Yeah, it's somebody taught.
Your car will need protecting, so it will be.
So we like just give them a couple of quid, and you might not have your windows will be fine when you come. I always remember that, and I was just always, but because it was just these wee gadgets basically that were there, and they'd be like, You don't
really get that sort of thing nowadays, do you? Especially at the top level, is a lot less sort of that sort of I don't know what's the word. Local talent, I suppose, coming out to help out. I suppose it's all a bit more
local.
It's those little quirks, though, isn't it? That add to a football match. I think that it's not just the 90 minutes, is it? It's that sort of stuff that you take away with you.
Yeah.
But sorry, you were saying again. So you got your car under protection.
Yeah, we parked up, and there's always like it was always a mate. There's a mate of mine that. There's always a mate that comes along and he just gets too pissed,
Yeah.
You always always like going. You get there in the morning, like, I'm sure it was night. It might not have been night time, but I need to find this out. But either it was. But anyway, he'd started ridiculously early, and you just think, slow down, man, because, you've still got a way to go. And anyway...
it was night time, yeah. Yeah, it was night time.
It was night time, was it, right?
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
But he got rejected from the ground.
Oh, man.
Because he was too pissed.
Yeah, and you get that anyway, don't you? Like, I've been to games where people are so pissed that you think, you're not going to remember any of this. Like, what you paid X amount of pounds to come in, and you've either spent the last hour just shouting at the away fans who can't even hear you because you're so pissed and you think that they can, or like you say, they're so drunk that they can't remember any of it anyway, and fall asleep in the game and all sorts. Incredible. I don't know how people do it in front of, like, I don't know, 50,000 people where you can have a nap. It's just baffling. I think it's incredible.
I know. It's like that thing now when, like, people, I just don't get, when they go to a gig and they're on their phones and all that, and I'm like, just watch the game,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I just love, just sitting watching the game, like almost studying the game, like I think I know what I'm, like, like, I think I'm a football, like, for like 90 minutes, I think I'm the manager of Falkirk, but I can't actually communicate with my players, you know.
Yeah, you work in the statisticians department or whatever it is. You know, start like too many balls through the centre half, whatever it is. But yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's all that kind of chat and then doing because the funny thing was when we used to play, like when we played Rangers and stuff, and they had loads of songs, and they had that song, you know, they've got they attached themselves like, "We are the people" and all that kind of thing.
Yes, that's it.
So we used to sing in reply to that, because Falkirk's got a steeple. We used to sing, "We are the steeple."
Right. Okay.
So they used to sing, "We are the people," and we just used to take the piss out of me. "We are the steeple." So we always had like some good banter with the songs back and forth.
Yeah,
but
of course.
Celtic always thought that we were just a diddy team, you know, like a team that got lucky first time round. So we had a lot to prove, and I remember singing pretty much all the way through it. And because of the players, we had a really like a bit of I never liked this top. We didn't play in a dark blue. We had this kind of like pinstripe blue and kind of reddy pinky thing on. And it was like going, oh, you know that you look into every little detail, going,
yeah, of course,
no.
yeah.
No, we've got that terrible strip on. We're never going to.
Oh, it's amazing what throws you off kilter, isn't it? You know, like those little things. That you get paranoid suddenly, don't you? That you're gonna get a good hiding or something like that.
Yeah, little bad omens. And then, you know, as soon as Di Canio got the ball, it was like, you know, you just think, oh, he's going to tear us apart just now, and because he was so dangerous and so skillful, you know.
He was fantastic player, wasn't he?
Yeah, no, totally. But I think we scored. We scored, and we held on to it. And a guy called Paul McGrillen scored. Mm-hmm. I think he was a backie actually, and I think we just went right. We just kind of rode on that wave for the whole way, and it was literally just pack. After that, let's just pack the defence.
Yeah.
I remember that. You know, you scored, and you thought, we have to just. We can't chase this game now. We just have to, you know. They just made a decision. I remember Alex Totten, the manager, you could see him just like, if we score, we put 5 at the back, you know. And
it's nail biting then, isn't it? You can't relax, can you? As a fan, you can't really enjoy. And like you say, what was that? About 20 odd minutes in, or just before 20 minutes, you know.
Yeah, it was.
You then got another 70 minutes of just chewing your nails, haven't you?
Oh my God, I remember being so nervous about that, and you know, Ibrox is a great stadium because it's quite compact. It feels like, you know, and it's very atmospheric, and I just remember, it was pretty full on for the rest of the game, but we won it, and it's just kind of euphoric because we thought, you know, that's us.
Yeah, and like you say, 40 years on, you know, it's meant to be, isn't it?
Meant to be, you know. So
I was just reading here, sorry, that Di Canio afterwards got a suspension. I didn't realise this because apparently he'd made some comments about the referee being a Rangers fan and possibly even the Rangers manager. So he got a two-match ban for that, apparently. So,
did he?
Apparently, that's what I've got written here. But
you know, we did, you know, we did kind of love him though, because he was quite, you know, like, you know, you can't not love that guy, you know, because it was just seeing him on the ball, and you just knew he was kind of going to, you know, have a strop at some stage, or you know. So we tried to wind him up as much as we could, you know.
Yeah. So what about afterwards then? Because, you know, even my experience, I spoke to a few people, like after a game like that, you know, some football matches I come away from, and it's 3-4 in the morning, I still haven't gone to sleep because of the adrenaline rush, and you know, you go to work the next day, or, you know, school, whatever it is, and you just still, you know, you're not even tired because you're living off of that buzz from the day before, the night before, from that football match. Was that like you, or some cases, I suppose, you get so exhausted that, you know, from the match, you end up, you know, you sort of conk out because you've given everything to that 90 minutes, even though you haven't kicked the ball. So sort of which way was it for you, really?
Well, I think I just sort of loved it was the sort of, I mean, once we'd kind of got out of Glasgow, because, you know, it's that kind of thing where you kind of like, you know, you all of a sudden you leave the ground, there's a lot of quite angry Celtic fans, you know, and you think, right, let's just get to the bus and get going, you know. You never know, because you never know. And I just remember feeling a wee bit uneasy after kind of going, you know, right, let's just get back to Falkirk and we'll be all right, kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's, you know, there is a bit of that, you know, because it's, you know, we were kind of like a small group of fans, but it was fine. It was totally fine. But you never know with football games how it's, especially when fans pile out, and then you sort of meet them in the concourse just outside the ground, and you think, oh, you just need one idiot to kind of throw a ball or somebody, or to, you know, I've had that before when they just literally about a gang of them just chase you, you know, and you think, oh shit, man.
Yeah,
and
it
then,
sours the whole thing then, doesn't it?
Yeah, so we kind of go back to one of the guy that got rejected. He just gone into Glasgow and went to the pubs and got a train back. So and we saw him. Yeah, my mate, it was a mate Alan, and he ended up back at the Newmarket bar, and we all ended up back there.
Right.
And just a lot, and it was all kind of like, I just remember we got a lock-in because we worked there as well.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, okay.
We worked there, so it was kind of like lock-in and lots of beer and just and some tasty 90s music. And I just remember you kind of, and just lots more singing and losing my voice. I remember losing my voice.
Yeah. So. I think
I would have been like 19 then.
Right.
So it was kind of I was all sort of like, and hanging out with my brother and his mates and a few of my mates, but my older brother, and he'd be sort of putting his arm around me and sort of looking after me, kind of thing. So it was, I felt sort of, you know, even though I was 19, I was still kind of young boy, you know what I mean? And going to these games and being in this, he always kind of looked out for me and stuff, and he made sure like it was all right and everything. So
obviously,
so it was nice. It was a nice kind of protective kind of atmosphere as well, you know.
Yeah. So like obviously an incredible atmosphere in it afterwards. I think that's what we were saying earlier on, wasn't it? That, you know, for a club like Falkirk, because of that, it means so much more, doesn't it? So I suppose it goes on, and you know, you still talk about it, you know, what is it, 22 years later? So, you know, I think it just shows how special.
No, I think also the people I was with at that time, like we've got some good, you know, actual photographs that you went and got printed out in like Super Snaps or Boots or something, you know. And my brother and I looking through them not that long ago, just some photos have come across and gone, oh my God, that was like, I can't believe that was like 22 years ago now, you know. It's like crazy, but proper good memories, and I wouldn't swap them for a thing. Even though we lost, it's fine, you know. We got that. We got that. It would have been nice to obviously to top it off with the Scottish Cup, but there you go.
No, that's fantastic. I've got to say, honestly, I think that's. I think you've probably spoken on behalf of every proper football fan, and just the sense of, you know, that the power of football. I think it does get a bit underrated nowadays. You know, actually how powerful football can be, and you know, you've just sort of proven that 22 years later to still be talking about a semi-final win of a cup that unfortunately even got beaten in the final of. You know, just how amazing that is, really. So I think no, thank you for sharing that. I think that's brilliant. Just a last question regarding it then. If we could, like, I don't know, give you a button to go back and sort of do it all again, would you live that whole day out again and go through the whole thing of the game, or would you?
I think.
Or are you quite happy with the fact that this is how I remember it? That's it.
Yeah, I guess it's. Do you know what? It's that thing. I think it's that thing about. It's like kind of like. It's that sort of like underdog thing, isn't it? That you keep. It's probably done brilliant for my psyche, because like you just kind of keep going, don't you? You just keep hoping that, you know, with football anyway, don't you? Because if you're not a team that isn't winning every season or that, and you start getting like, then you start picking holes in small things that aren't there. But with like someone like Falkirk, we were always hoping for just that wee bit extra, you know. And it's, I always liked kind of supporting the underdog as well. In Falkirk, always felt like an underdog team, going up against Celtic, going up against Rangers, going up against Hearts, going up. You know, we're never a kind of big team, and it always felt special when you won. So when we didn't take it for granted, you know. And sadly, you know, we've slipped down the leagues, but I'll always remember that, just for, you know, if we're not winning things, we're always just hoping that we're just going to get a wee bit better each time. And that was exciting, and we didn't take it for granted, and I'll always kind of cherish that, I think. And I think it's kind of in my DNA now, you know, because I grew up supporting them, and I don't know, maybe there's something about not supporting a successful team that just makes you just go and just try and give you your all and support that underdog. You know, that's how I feel about it, I think, looking back and going, why would I go and support another team that are doing like a Celtic and Rangers that win every season and blah, 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 blah. There was something exciting about supporting Falkirk and seeing them beat the Giants, you know?
Yeah, I think it is those, you live for those moments. I know we joked about it, but you don't support teams like that, like Falkirk or whoever for the glory. You don't do, you don't follow them
for the glory, exactly what you said, yeah.
But you do live for those moments.
Yeah.
In that sense, no. That's fantastic. I really appreciate you obviously coming on and sharing about basically Falkirk's 90s history, I think. To be honest, I think you covered quite a breadth of football there. But that was honestly, I think the passion you have for them, and you speak on behalf of a lot of proper football fans about that. So, thank you so much. Just really quickly before you go, obviously, in terms of your profession, I won't do the injustice of explaining, what exactly you do, but you're an actor and you're in some stuff over Christmas. So I don't know if you want to quickly do a plug for that and maybe explain a little bit more about what you do.
I'll do a pun. Yeah. Well, I've moved through to Edinburgh now from Falkirk. It doesn't mean I support Hearts or Hibs though. But, I will. I'm doing. I know it's like I meet guys in like Edinburgh's like you Hibs fan. I was like no. It's just like we're in Glasgow. It's like you Celtic and Rangers, and it's like I always kind of proudly go Falkirk.
Yeah, exactly.
Alone,
throws them off a little bit, I suppose, doesn't it? Don't really know what to say next.
Or they just go. Yeah, they just like, who's that? Or I don't give a shit. So it's actually it's a tension breaking.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am doing. I'm an actor. Yeah, and I'm doing an Edinburgh Christmas Carol at the Lyceum in Edinburgh, and it starts at the end of November. So if you're around Edinburgh, come along and see it. The Lyceum's right in the centre of Edinburgh. Big, beautiful theatre, and yeah, nice bit of festive cheer, and it'll be, it's nice. It's like a family show, so it'll be lovely. So we're just rehearsing it just now, but it's going well. Yeah,
very good, very good.
Happy days.
Ewan, top man. Thank you so much for doing that, and hopefully we'll hear you on the podcast again soon. So cheers.
Thank you so much for letting me come on and speak about Falkirk. Bless you.
Catch you soon. I'll speak to you soon, Ewan.